Caleb Williams will be the first pick in the NFL draft and the number one pick in your Superflex drafts, but that doesn't mean there isn't value in the rest of round one. We will explain why in this episode of the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Here are your hosts, Marcus Mosher and Kate Madjuk.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. Joining me today, as always, is Kate Madjuk. You can follow her on Twitter at Kate Madjuk. And joining us today, as always on Wednesdays, it's Matt Williamson. Follow him on Twitter at WilliamsonNFL. Go check out his new YouTube channel as well. On today's show, we've got a special show for you. We are doing a 2-round Superflex rookie mock draft, just one day ahead of the NFL draft. We're going to do all 24 picks. Kate, you are on the clock at pick 101. Who are you selecting?
I'm going to shock everybody here with the number one overall pick, and that is Caleb Williams out of USC. Look, there's not a lot more that I can say about Caleb Williams that hasn't already been said. And if you haven't watched our quarterback previews or our wide receiver previews, I suggest you go back and learn more about these prospects. But 6'1", 214 pounds, just has this innate ability to play the quarterback position. It literally looks like he was playing the quarterback position in the womb, just with the rare kind of awareness he has, his ability to make throws off platform. He's going to the Chicago Bears, no doubt, and he is going to have probably year one fantasy value thanks to some, sneaky mobility. And then you've got the upside of two really good receivers, Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. I'm all over it.
All right, Matt, you are on the clock here at 102. This is a tough spot. Do you go quarterback? Do you go wide receiver? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the folks that traded away last year's picks for this year's picks or stockpiled first-round picks for this Superflex year are really happy because this is a great draft, especially for Superflex. Along those lines, I'm going quarterback LSU, Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to be a commander. I can live with that situation. It's not perfect, but it comes down to his legs. I think he's going to rush for 700-ish yards per year. That's good enough for me to be in, quarterback 12 through 15 early in his career, maybe develops into more. Hard to pass on the receivers, but I'm taking Daniels.
That makes my decision here at 103 much easier. I was debating between Daniels and Marvin Harrison Jr., so I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr., who is the number one overall player on my big board when it comes to the NFL draft. I just think he's going to be a plug-and-play fantasy asset, likely going to the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe he lands somewhere else with even a more established quarterback, but I love Marvin Harrison Jr. at 103. I think that's an absolute steal. Kate, you are on the clock here at 104. Who do you got?
This is where your dynasty drafts are really going to get, I think, very interesting is this 104 spot because you've got the quarterbacks, right? You've got Drake May and potentially JJ McCarthy, both going to be top 10 picks in this draft. I'm going to roll with Drake May, who's young, who has fallen a little bit in this overall draft process. But, most of the past two seasons coming out of UNC has been neck and neck there with Caleb Williams for the top quarterback drafted. Now, decision-making, he's got plenty of work to do in that regard. But, I mean, all in all, you've got to love the mobility. You've got to love the prototypical size, 6'4", 223 pounds. He's got good on. And I just think the traits are all there for, Drake May to end up being a really good NFL quarterback, though he might not be one of the most productive quarterbacks right out of the gate when it comes to fantasy production.
Matt, you are back on the clock here at 105.
I'm going to go with another LSU guy, Malik Neighbors, wide receiver. I do believe that there are teams in the NFL that prefer Neighbors to Harrison. I mean, I think he's that good of a prospect, and that's not a knock on Harrison at all. Even if Neighbors ends up with the Giants, I still think he's going to get a lot of targets early on. Special talent. Pretty happy to get him at 5.
Really good pick. That was probably who I was going to pick at 106 if he was available. If we had another quarterback off the board, but that's not the case. So we've got 3 quarterbacks off the board already. We've got 2 receivers, which means I'm taking my guy Brock Bowers, tight end from Georgia at 106. He's my number 1 tight end in Dynasty right now. I got to admit, I'm a little nervous about where he's potentially going to land in the actual NFL draft for his fantasy value. But I think he is going to be a weapon right away. I am perfectly fine taking Brock Bowers here at 106, even over the likes of JJ McCarthy, Rome Odunze, and all the other running backs. I love Brock Bowers. Give me him at 106. Kate, you are back on the clock here at 107. What do you got?
I'm absolutely thrilled that my guy fell to me here at the 107 here. I'm going Rome Odunze out of Washington, who's been
Good pick.
one of the productive wide receivers in college football over the past couple of seasons and has been, I think, probably one of the more underrated prospects in this class. Obviously, very top heavy at the wide receiver position, but Rome Odunze, I think, is one of the most perfect blends that you can find of both safety and ceiling. I think his pro readiness matches that of Marvin Harrison Jr. He's 6'2", 212 pounds, good size, has the production, has the advanced stats to back it up. I just think, if we're going to parse, obviously doesn't have that same athleticism as a Malik Neighbors, but I think he has some of the most refined skill sets among any of these top end draft prospects.
All right, so we are going into the final pick of segment 1. Matt is on the clock here at 108. Just to recap, the first 7 picks: Caleb Williams, quarterback from USC; Jaden Daniels off the board at number 2, quarterback from LSU; first receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State at number 3; Drake May, another quarterback from UNC at 4. We've got Malik Neighbors off the board at 5; Brock Bowers at 6; Rome Odunze at 7. Matt, who do you got here at number 8?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good receivers. I think this running back class is underrated, but I'm still sticking with the quarterback and taking JJ McCarthy, hoping he ends up in Minnesota. But there's plenty of landing spots I can live with. He's going to play, I don't know if he'll play early or not, but he runs more than people think. I think this was kind of an easy one for me, to be honest with you.
So that means we had 4 quarterbacks go in the first 8 of our Dynasty Superflex rookie draft. Matt, that seems probably pretty likely, but even after the draft, right? Like these quarterbacks are just going to go really early, correct?
I think so. I think there's a real good chance that 4 in the first 5 NFL picks will be quarterbacks.
Yeah. All right, let's return for pick 109, which happens to be my selection here at the bottom of round 1. All the quarterbacks are off the board unless you want to take a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix. Is this the time we see the first running back off the board? We'll get to that next. This episode is brought to you by eBay. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number 1 ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We want to let you know about the Locked On NFL Mock Draft Show is now available wherever you get your podcast. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft Show is available now on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, we are back on the clock here at pick 109, and this is where we're going to have a little bit of a surprise. Rather than taking a Brian Thomas, who is the highest rated receiver left, or maybe taking a quarterback like a Michael Penix or Bo Nix, I'm taking Jonathan Brooks, running back from Texas. I just feel pretty confident that he's going to land in a good situation, whether that's the Cowboys in round 2 or maybe a team that trades up to get him. I think here at this stage in round 1, I'm willing to take a shot on Brooks. Matt, I want your thoughts here. Do you feel like that's too high? Because I heard you kind of make a noise as I was making that selection.
No, I don't pick until 11 here, but I thought I might get him there. I'm not sure if he's my number 1 on the board. I wouldn't want to be in the 9 spot right now because I'm torn between a couple. I think he's clearly, though, the best running back in this class, and I think he's got a great chance to land with your Cowboys, which is really enticing.
Kate, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think you can pretty much look at Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson at this point as running backs 1A and 1B. And I don't really think you're going to get a losing situation. So really just kind of picking your poison. Trey Benson obviously comes away with more of those athletic traits, that explosion. Jonathan Brooks, I think generally a much more well-rounded prospect that is really good at just about everything. Maybe, again, the tiebreaker, if you're looking at them as, kind of on a level playing field, is the ACL. How much do you care about the torn ACL? Trey Benson, correct me if I'm wrong, also a significant knee injury in his past. So maybe the tiebreaker for you is, who do you think is going to see the field sooner? And if you're concerned about the ACL, maybe that's Benson.
All right, Kate, you are on the clock here at pick 110. Who do you got?
I'm going Trey Benson out of FSU. Little spoiler alert there. And this is kind of 1A, 1B for me. I love Trey Benson's tape, his ability to play with power and miss forced tackles. He is without a doubt my RB2 in this class. Never had a monstrous season there at FSU just because of the fact that they were kind of looking to get their backup running back involved. But 14 touchdowns in his final season, developed as a receiver a bit, has an ideal build, 6 foot, 216 pounds of pure muscle. I think he's going to have a lot of breakaway runs at the next level, and he's going to be a fun guy to watch, probably regardless of landing spot, can slot in as a potential 3-down back day 1.
All right, Matt, you are on the clock here at 111, and I've got to, I guess of where you're going. Can you let the people know what you're doing here at the bottom of round 1?
Yeah, 2 out of my 3 have been from LSU. Let's make it 3 out of 4 with Brian Thomas, a wide receiver. Yeah, I think that's pretty good value. I worry for our purposes, will he ever be a super high volume player? I don't know, but I do think he scores touchdowns like no one else in this class, and there's obvious talent here.
Yeah, if you could get Brian Thomas at pick 111 in your Superflex drafts, I think that's a pretty good steal. Right. I think after these top 11 picks, there's a pretty big drop off. And unfortunately, I've got pick 112, which means I've got to make a tough selection here. I'm just going to take the guy that I really like. I'm taking Xavier Worthy, wide receiver from Texas. And I understand there's some concerns about his size, about his role, how big of a load can he get in the NFL? Is he somebody that you can give 130 targets to? I don't know. But I'm willing to take a chance here at the bottom of round 1 and figure it out. I love Xavier Worthy. I'm willing to gamble on his speed every single day. Give me Texas wide receiver Xavier Worthy here at the 112. Kate, you are back on the clock.
This is probably the most difficult decision that I've had to make so far in this draft. And I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of torn. I think this is a little bit of a dead zone for wide receiver for me. So I'm going to pivot back to the running back position. I'm going to go with Braylon Allen, who I think I'm a little bit higher on than consensus, coming out of Wisconsin, who is literally the youngest player in this draft class with, I think, a lot of untapped potential. 6'1", 235 pounds. 3 straight seasons of just big time production here in the Big Ten. And he's got the build of an NFL running back. I think, in terms of ceiling, we haven't quite seen it yet because he's still got, I think, plenty of time to develop with his age and his nuance with the game of football. But I like overall his vision. I like his feel for the position at such a young age. I think the sky could be the limit for a guy like Braylon Allen.
Matt, you are on the clock here in round 2. This would be pick 202. Who do you got?
I think Michael Penix, quarterback from Washington, is going to be a first-round pick on Thursday. So I'm taking him here, even if he has to sit a year behind a Geno Smith or whatever. I'm hoping he ends up with Denver, Minnesota, the Raiders, a team like that. He's got untapped potential as a runner, but I don't really believe those pro day numbers are going to translate to fantasy success. But I think he's going to be a starting quarterback in this league as soon as 2025.
I think he ends up going to the first round, probably to a team that I happen to cover for a living, the Las Vegas Raiders. My fear is that is the ceiling like Tua in the NFL. Like you need him to be on a team with awesome receivers and a really, innovative play caller. But again, here in the second round of a Superflex draft, you absolutely cannot knock it. And that's why I'm taking Bo Nix, another quarterback, an overage quarterback here at 203. I think he didn't test better than Michael Penix, but I do think he's more of a runner than what Michael Penix is. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's somebody who gets you, 300 rushing yards a season and 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns. And I'm kind of hoping he lands with a team like the Denver Broncos, who have been linked to him a lot over the last couple of weeks. I know the talent there is not amazing, but you are getting paired with Sean Payton. I will take the chance on Bo Nix, quarterback from Oregon, here at pick 203, 15th overall. Matt, do you have a big difference between those two quarterbacks? Like, do you clearly prefer Penix?
Yes, but it's almost more situationally driven. I think Nix and Penix are very different quarterbacks. I think Penix is much more the drive the ball down the field. Nix, to me, is much more the Sean Payton distributor.
Yep.
So it depends where they land, to be honest with you. I don't think that they're apples to apples.
So we are 3 picks into round 2 right now. Kate took Braylon Allen at pick 201. Michael Penix off the board at 202. Bo Nix 203. And Kate, you are on the clock here at pick 204. Who are you selecting with the 16th overall pick?
I might be reaching a little bit here, but hashtag get your guys. I'm going to go with Xavier Legette out of South Carolina here, 6'1", 221 pounds, a late bloomer, had a 50 breakout, which I think is scaring everybody. But please, 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 if you haven't yet, go back, listen to our Xavier Legette episode where we give a lot of context to that late breakout for Xavier Legette. I think more than any wide receiver in this league with maybe a quote unquote late breakout, Legette deserves more context than anyone. So highly recommend tuning into that. But great combination of both size and speed. I think, plays with a lot of play strength, contributions on special teams. Like he still needs refinement, but transition from playing quarterback in high school, like made that positional change, had a lot of personal things to overcome early in his career. Paired with COVID, I think there's a lot of untapped potential here with Xavier Legette at the next level.
All right. So just to recap, as we go into the final 8 picks of our Superflex rookie mock draft, we've got Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3, Drake May at 4, Malik Neighbors at 5, Brock Bowers at 6, Rome Odunze at 7, JJ McCarthy at 8. We've got Jonathan Brooks at 9, Trey Benson at 10, Brian Thomas at 11, Xavier Worthy at 12, Braylon Allen at 13, Michael Penix at 14, Bo Nix at 15. And now we've got Xavier Legette at pick 16, 204 to Kate. When we come back, we will finish out the rest of our rookie mock draft with Matt on the board here at pick 205. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I've been told that I'm a competitive person, and my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it before. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not just one board, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with my friends. I can charge them rent on iconic properties, just like in Classic Monopoly. Plus, I can also heist their vaults of riches for myself. And the leaderboards show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game, join your friends, download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We are doing our 2-round pre-draft Superflex rookie mock draft. And Matt, you are on the board here at pick 17.
Yeah, 3 picks ago, I was really torn between Penix and Adonai Mitchell, and you guys were kind enough not to snag them, so this is an easy one for me. I certainly understand there's volatility, but man, I mean, in terms of talent, potential landing spots, I jumping all over Mitchell this late.
I think it's a great pick. That's who I was going to take with my next spot. So now I've got to recalibrate a little bit. How high do you think Mitchell goes in the actual NFL draft?
Maybe the teens. That's a little rich, but I keep thinking about Cincinnati as a T. Higgins replacement. I could definitely see Buffalo trading into the early 20s, possibly. I don't think he'll last to Buffalo's original pick.
Okay. All right. Here on the board at 206, the 18th overall pick. Taking a guy that I don't love his dynasty value, but I love the player, so I'm just going to gamble on the talent. And that's Blake Corum, running back for Michigan. I won't be necessarily surprised if he's the first running back off the board. It seems like there's a lot of teams out there that really like his play style, his competitiveness, his off the field stuff. I know there's a lot of wear and tear on those tires, but if he can go mid-second round, early third round, I think he could be a big value, especially right away. Like, I think he's going to be somebody that these teams aren't worried about his workload early. I think they're going to use him up. I will take Blake Corum here at pick 18. Kate, you are on the clock here at pick 19.
You guys are making this a challenge for me. I really liked Blake Corum in that spot. I do think there's another running back value maybe here in the next couple of picks that I'll like even better. So I'm going to go with Troy Franklin, wide receiver out of Oregon, who, to be honest, like just absolutely kind of dominates in terms of advanced metrics. He's got great size and length, especially good speed given his length. He ran a 4.41 40-yard dash at just under 6'2". A little undersized in the weight department, 176 pounds. Play strength has been a concern for him, but something I think he can work on at the next level. But definitely one of the best deep threat wide receivers in this class. I think he'd be a great fit at the end of round 1. Maybe if the Buffalo Bills stand pat at 28, I think he'd be a very interesting fit given the vacated targets here with Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, who accounted for most of these deep yards over the past couple of seasons. Give me Troy Franklin in a situation like that, and he could have immediate day one value, despite the fact that I think he's probably got a lot of development in terms of like nuances of route runner, et cetera, at the next level.
All right, Matt, you are on the clock here. Pick 208, 20th overall. Who do you got?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping Corum would fall to me, but I have no problem jumping on Ladd McConkey this late. I think he definitely could end up in the first round, hopefully to Kansas City. And needless to say, I'm hoping he's a lot more productive at the NFL level in terms of reception totals and things like that than he was at Georgia.
I hate drafting behind you because Ladd McConkey is exactly who I wanted to hear at 209. I just have no doubt that he is going to be more productive in the NFL. Like, you get him into a pass-happy offense where he can play in the slot, he can play in the outside. I think he's going to be a star. So that leaves me to reach on a receiver that I don't particularly love. There's a lot about his profile that makes me really scared, including the 4.6 40-yard dash. And that's Keon Coleman. I've been burnt so many times, wide receiver from FSU, on these big receivers that don't separate and everything is a contested catch. And they're okay after the catch, but that's not really their specialty. I'm going with the fact that he's only 20 and that Florida State did have him on like punt returns, which is generally a pretty good sign about your future production in the NFL. And he did play on an offense that was loaded with Trey Benson and Johnny Wilson and Jaheim Bell. I will gamble on Keon Coleman here at pick 21, even though I do not feel very good about it. Kate, on the board here, pick 22, 210.
I'm happy you guys left my running back on the board here. I'm going with Audric Estime out of Notre Dame, who, yes, ran the slowest 40-yard dash time among all of the running backs at the combine. But I think his play speed is demonstrably bigger when you watch his tape. Plays with a lot of power. Breakaway runs have not been an issue for Audric Estime in the league, here in the past couple of seasons in college football. So I think he plays much faster than he runs a 40-yard dash. I'm going to throw that 40-yard dash out the window and say that I think Audric Estime has the perfect build for an NFL running back. I think he's got an excellent production profile, one of the most well-rounded prospects in this draft that I think if you can get over the 40-yard dash, which he ranked above the 50th percentile for, 10-yard split, vertical jump, broad jump, all of that you're going to love with Audric Estime. If you can just put the blinders on for the 40-yard dash time, I think most dynasty analysts would be all over Audric Estime. So I'm going to put the blinders on.
All right, Matt, your final pick here at 211. Who do you got?
Yeah, I like the Estime pick. Sneaky. I liked it a lot. I'm torn between two receivers. I won't tell you both because maybe you'll grab. I guess it doesn't matter because we have one more pick. But I'm going to take Ricky Pearsall, but I'm really, really tempted, and I know he's not going to go super high, to take Jermaine Burton. I just think that he might be the 6th or 7th most talented receiver in this draft, and a team like the Chiefs can overlook things off the field. I could see him skyrocketing, but Pearsall to me safer. I think he projects as a number 2 NFL receiver. And hey, at the end of round 2 of a dynasty draft, I'll take that,
Yeah, it seems like he's going to get the second round draft capital. We know the Steelers are very interested. There's a lot of teams in that 50-ish range that really like him. So I think that's a pretty safe pick. With my last pick and the last pick in our rookie draft, I'm going with Jalen Wright, running back from Tennessee. I'm kind of surprised he fell this far, and I'm surprised.
I'm very surprised. Yeah.
6th running back off the board here. I know, listen, I get it. That Tennessee offense, it's really hard to judge anybody because you're running through massive lanes, but you are gambling on a 4-3 running back that played in the SEC that was uber productive. He might not be a full-time running back right away, probably going to be somebody that splits carries, but I'm willing to just gamble on the upside here and see what happens. So to finish out the second round of our Superflex rookie draft, we've got Braylon Allen, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Xavier Legette, Adonai Mitchell, Blake Corum, Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman, Audric Estime, Ricky Pearsall, and Jalen Wright. Matt, any just overall thoughts on this round 2 of this draft?
I just love the depth. I mean, I don't think most years you get guys like Wright, Pearsall, Estime, at the bottom of the second round of a Superflex. And frankly, there's 5, 6, 7 guys that I'd be very comfortable taking right now as well if we kept this exercise going. I mean, Jalen Polk and guys of that nature, Marshawn Lloyd are interesting.
There's tight ends too. We only had one tight end come off the board in the first 2 rounds. So like a Ben Sinnott or a Theo Johnson.
Yeah.
Kate, any thoughts?
I think the biggest takeaway here, Matt, as you said, is the depth. And I mean, I will say, generally speaking, like the nuances that this is not a good running back class. I think generally speaking, the trope should be more like there's not a ton of complete prospects in this class, but there are a lot of guys that could find themselves in advantageous situations. I think there's a lot of teams out there still in need of an RB1. I think there's going to be some really sneaky running back value here in this class, just based on the idea that it's not a very good one. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it's more so a lack of a well-rounded prospect and somebody who has a complete profile. But that just means like, hey, the field is wide open at the position, and you could be getting some true steals in rounds 2 and 3.
All right, that is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty Football your first listen of the day. Every day, just go check out our show on YouTube. We post videos every single day over there. Go download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. On tomorrow's show, we're going to be talking about some draft sleepers. We'll give you some predictions for round 1 of the draft, so make sure you tune in for that. Make sure that you're following Matt Williamson on Twitter at WilliamsonNFL. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel as well. Follow Kate on Twitter at Kate Majuk. I'm at Marcus_Mosher, and we will see you right back here tomorrow.